Well, welcome to Focus Today. Boy, do we have a show put together for you today. And our first guest, whoa, what a powerful guest and a great opportunity to talk to Geert Wilders. He's the author of this book, Marked for Death, Islam's War Against the West and Me. He's a Dutch member of Parliament and a champion for free speech. He is a politician and leader there of the Party for Freedom, the third largest political party in the Netherlands. Unlike any other lawmaker, he is certainly different because in his world, his home is a secret government safe house. He can't walk alone. He can't go to the movies or even out to dinner without some armed guards because of his forthrightness and speaking out. And Geert, what a delight to have you, sir. Where are you calling from this morning?
Well, thank you so much first for having me on your wonderful show. I'm calling from New York now.
New York. Well, great to have you. Powerful, powerful book. And boy, I probably could take you for a week. But let's get into this right away because we only have here a little while. What caused you to write out and be so voiceful in your opinions here?
Well, I believe that at the end of the day, nothing is more powerful than the truth. And I believe that free men and women, wherever in the world, should never be silenced or fall victim to violent intimidation. And I spoke out. I spoke the truth about Islam. And the result was indeed that I have been threatened. I've been marked with death. I have been banned from many countries around the world. I've been put on trial, taken for years to court, both criminal and civil court, just for speaking the truth. And I believe that if I spoke out, which I hadn't and wouldn't do against Christianity, all those things would not have happened. But since I spoke out against the totalitarian ideology of Islam, all these things happened. And it's not only about me. Look at other people like Jan Hirsi Ali or the cartoonist in Scandinavia, Kurt Westergaard or Lars Vilks, or my fellow countryman Theo van Gogh, who was murdered in the streets of Amsterdam. Everybody who has the guts to tell the truth about Islam is marked for death, and this is totally unacceptable.
All right, there's so many things here. Could you get your book published in the Netherlands, or did you have to get it published in the United States?
Well, to be honest, I tried. I had a book published in the Netherlands something like 5 or 6 years ago. And at that time even, I was not able to find a publisher that wanted to expose his name. So my book in the Netherlands was published with an anonymous publisher. Luckily, I found a publisher in the United States now that was very brave, that didn't want to stay anonymous. And I had a message also for the American people, which shortly is that learn from our mistakes. Europe is almost already Islamized. Don't think that what happened in Europe will not happen here in America. I'm a big friend of America. America, for me, is the beacon of light and freedom. And I hope with this book people know that they will not make the same mistakes as we did, and save America as the freest country in the world.
Well, it appears we are making that mistake, and there are some that are very concerned about it and do speak out, but for the most part, most of us are still succumbing to what seems to be happening in Europe. How has Islam affected your home country?
Well, it changed it totally, and not only my home country. Many big parts of Europe, France, Paris, cities in the Netherlands, Amsterdam, The Hague, but also in Sweden and Germany. There are so many cities and places in Europe that almost became no-go zones where Sharia law seems to have become the dominant factor. People don't feel at home, don't feel safe in so many parts because of the results of the mass immigration that we in Europe faced and felicitated from Islamic countries with enormous results. Look, for instance, most of the immigrants in my own country, the Netherlands, are from Moroccan descent. And, if I tell you that 2/3 of them, of Moroccan youth, have been detained at least once by police, it's enormous. If you look at the United Kingdom, even today there are already Sharia courts active. A lot of people really don't know that in today in a European country there are already Sharia courts where the rights of women are diminished to half of the rights of men. And so Europe is really, there's also good news. The good news is that the people in Europe are wakening up. The political elite is looking in the other direction, but parties like mine, we became out of nothing the third biggest party in Europe 2 years ago. So there is a change within the electorate, but not within the political elite so far, unfortunately.
Is it too late, Gerrit? I mean, can things be turned around? I mean, how can Sharia law and parliamentary law coexist? I mean, how can that possibly happen?
It can't. This is why it's totally unacceptable that in a country like the United Kingdom, but even also in the Netherlands, sometimes Sharia law is being applied, which is totally unacceptable. The two cannot go together. But like I said, there are a lot of politicians in Europe that are depending on the Muslim vote, that believe in the biggest disease that Europe faces today, which is called cultural relativism, the misconception that all cultures are equal. I believe that this is fully wrong. I believe that we should be very proud and stand up and say that our culture is based on Christianity, on Judaism, on humanism, and that our values, the Christian values, are far more superior than the barbaric Islamic values. We should be proud of it, to say so. And if we don't know who we are, we can forget fighting against what we are not. So it's not too late yet, but it's 5 minutes to 12, and we should act now to preserve our freedom tomorrow.
What message do you want America to get from this book? I mean, we're going into election cycle, as you well know. We seem to have a very Islamic-friendly administration to the cost of American freedom. And we know something is wrong. We believe things are wrong in Europe, but we don't know how bad they really are. I mean, what do you want us to get from this?
Well, I wish you would elect leaders on whatever level that see Islam for what it really is. And I believe you should do 4 things. A, you should defend freedom of speech. This is the most important thing. People should not be threatened or taken to court for what they believe in. Second, like I said, you should reject the cultural relativism. Don't be fooled by people who say that Islam is like Christianity. Islam is like communism or fascism. It's totalitarian. People are not even allowed to leave Islam because any apostate will have to be killed. So be honest about that. Stop the Islamization. And, well, if I look, I'm not here to criticize your president. I admire the American people, and your choices I do respect. But if I saw in 2009 when President Obama went to Cairo and he held a speech, I write about it also in my book. He offered a partnership between America and Islam. And this is something that I really don't understand. I never saw any U.S. president gone to the Vatican or any other place to offer a partnership between America and a religion. But if you offer a partnership between America and Islam, you offer a partnership between America and Sharia law. And I don't understand how this can really happen. I remember, and I studied American presidents a lot. One of your first president, the 6th president, as a matter of fact, John Quincy Adams, he studied the Quran, and he said that Muhammad was a false prophet, and that the precept of the Quran was war against all who deny that Muhammad is the prophet of God. As a matter of fact, the first war of your young republic was against the Barbary states in northern Africa. And, well, a lot of things happened in between, because if I look at your President Obama, his position against Islam is the worst that any leader of the United States ever had before. So we can do, we have to change a lot in Europe and in the Netherlands, but I hope you choose leaders that, without getting involved in internal politics here, that are more honest about the real face of Islam.
One last question. How is the faith community, the Christian community in Europe now responding that they've had a chance to see the effects of Sharia law in their community? How's the Christian community responding? Are they allowed to respond?
Well, it depends. There are individuals also in my home country, but also in the United Kingdom. There are Christian leaders who stand up and who say that we should stop the Islamization and that there is an enormous difference between Christianity and Islam. Unfortunately, I have to add that the main organizations are also, unfortunately, into a lot of appeasement, saying that we should live together and hold hands and we have so much in common, which exactly, once again, is not true. So there is a lot to gain also from the Christian and Jewish, by the way, organizations. I always tell them that even though I respect their position, that they will be, Christians and Jews will be the first to pay a price if Islam becomes dominant in our society. So eternal vigilance, as one of your presidents once said, is what we need every day again. And we need honesty. And the honesty is that Islam really has no place in our free societies.
All right. So do you see hope in Europe? I mean, if you folks in Europe recover, maybe it'll shed some light on this side of the pond.
Yeah, I see hope. I'm a positive person, and I'm positive. I see hope. I see that in many countries, whether it's in Holland or in Denmark and many European countries, the people are fed up with the multiculturalist, the people who deny the problems that the mass immigration from Northern Africa and the Islamization brought to our societies, the cost it brought with them, the insecurity that it brought with them, the change of our culture and our identity it brought, and the people are growingly fed up with that. So I'm positive, not because in Europe today we have the leaders that we need, but because the public is in for a change in politics. And this is why, for instance, you saw not so long ago, last year, you saw both in 1 month time, you saw Angela Merkel, the Chancellor of Germany, David Cameron, the Prime Minister of United Kingdom, and Mr. Sarkozy. You saw them in 1 month saying that the multicultural society was a disaster.
Yeah.
I mean, they don't mean it. They don't mean one word of it. But they know that if they are not saying it, the people will go to parties like mine. So you see that the political elite is getting nervous because the electorate is fed up with the old political correct multicultural politics. And this is the positive change. But we should seize the moment, and I hope that anywhere in Europe, but also here, the politicians will stand up with an honest message about freedom and freedom of speech.
All right, Geert Wilders is our special guest today. He's authored a book, Marked for Death, Islam's War Against the West and Me, a Dutch member of Parliament and a champion for free speech. There's a picture of the book there on the screen, and it's put out by Rigoneri Press. Let me encourage you to go to Barnes & Noble, Amazon.com, get a copy of this. It's a stunning read. And Geert, let me just let you know that you're in our prayers for protection, and we thank you for your boldness, and hope to have you back soon. God bless you, my friend.
Thank you so much, and thank you for having me on your show.
All right, God bless you.
Bye-bye.
All right.